Welcome to this latest edition in 5 questions here at iConnect, when we interview a public law scholar and ask her or him about his or her research. And today, we're joined by Mariolina Eliantonio of Maastricht University, professor of European and Comparative Administrative Law. Mariolina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Richard, for hosting me today.
So we have 5 questions to go through. Let me begin with the first. What are you working on right now?
There are a couple of things that I'm working on right now. There is a project I'm working on that deals with the topic of standardization as a regulatory technique in European governance. And I particularly enjoy this project because I work together with a private lawyer. So I particularly enjoy exchanging views with colleagues from a different discipline and a different angle. There's a second project which I also find extremely interesting, and that deals with European soft law. And together with a group, with a team of several scholars from different member states in the European Union, we are looking at how European soft law is used and applied by national courts and national administrations. So it's a very interesting project for me because I'm really enjoying the challenges of comparative law and looking at various legal systems, comparing them, and also examining the different legal cultures in which this European soft law gets embedded. And this is a commission-funded Jean Monnet project, so it's also interesting to see the project management side of this. And finally, there is a project that is very dear to my heart, which is a casebook on the judicial review of administrative action. And I particularly enjoyed the casebook format because it was about collecting excerpts of case law, of legislation, and of course the comparative law aspect that we used in the project. And it has been also a challenging project, I must say, both academically and also in terms of project management, people management, but it's coming to an end soon. The book will be in press in the coming months, so I'm really looking forward to see the products, let's say, of this work.
Sounds like an interesting set of research and writing that you have ahead of you. We'll look forward to seeing it when it's all published. But when is it that you write and research? How do you write and research? Do you have a routine? Do you just do it whenever the time comes up in your schedule? How do you do it?
I do not have a routine, but I try to reserve days for research in as far and as much as possible. Of course, this is not always very easy given the teaching obligations, also the increasing management tasks with the increasing seniority. But I try to be as efficient as possible with the management of my time. So I try to reserve time free for research in as far as possible.
So when did you know that this is what you wanted to do with your life as a career, that you wanted to be a professor of law?
I must say that I have to confess, I was never a very convinced or a very enthusiastic law student in my undergraduate time. And even back then, I never really thought of being an academic or a professor at all, to be honest, or doing research in the first place. My whole perspective really on law changed when I moved to Maastricht, when I attended an LLM at Maastricht University in European and comparative law. And that's when I was really exposed to European law in depth for the first time, and also to the beauties, the challenges of comparative law. And that's when I realized that I would like to do this further in my life. And that's how I ended up doing a PhD. And after that, I realized that I actually enjoy doing research. So I'd like to stay on in academia. So it was, if you wish, an incremental process.
Mm-hmm. And let's think back to your days as a law student. Is there an article or a book or any kind of publication that was at the time influential to you and that still today really means to you something very special? You go back to it as a reference for inspiration. Is there such a thing for you?
I have had to think about this question, I must say. I didn't find it an easy one to answer, but I would like to mention two articles. And the first one is really not specifically in my area of expertise, but it's one that I still remember from my LLM times, which means that it has made an impression on me, let's say. And this is an article by Professor Pierre Legrand, and it concerned the impossibility of legal transplants. And I remember it from my year as an LLM student because we read it during our class of comparative contract law, which was given at the time by Professor Jan Smits, who is now our dean in the law faculty. And I still remember it because it really sparkled so much and such an intense discussion on the possibilities, the challenges of comparative law, and whether comparative law is possible in the first place. So definitely I would like to mention that. And the second one that I would like to mention is more related to my field of expertise, and that is an article by Professor Caranta, which has appeared in 1995 in the Common Market Law Review, and it is about the Europeanization of administrative justice. And I would like to mention it because it's, if you wish, one of the articles that sparkled my interest for what was later to become the main research question of my PhD. So definitely that's one that has further inspired my work.
Interesting. So among all of your publications now, turning from the work of others back to your own work, among everything you've written thus far, I'm sure there's plenty more to come, but thus far, is there one book or article or chapter that you're most proud of or is dearest to you? The reason I ask is because I would like to share that with our readers at iConnect so that they can read it if they don't yet know about your work, to learn about you and about your work. So is there one?
Yes, there is one which is particularly dear to me, which is an article on composite procedures and judicial review, which has appeared in the Review of European Administrative Law. And why I mention this one is because it's an article on which I worked quite a long time. And back in the days, it was a relatively new field of research for me. And that article really opened up a whole new research agenda. And it also was the foundation for many further collaborations with colleagues with whom I am currently working on the topic of shared administration. And this is a phenomenon. So the collaboration between European level authorities and national authorities in the implementation of EU law is a topic that is really at the core of my research. And I feel that it's that one article that really sparkled the follow-up, let's say, of this research agenda, which is still ongoing. So thanks for asking. And I definitely am grateful for this article to be shared on your blog.
Oh, we'll be very happy to do that. So we'll put the link in the blog post when we publish this particular interview for readers and viewers to watch. Mariolina Eliantonio, professor at Maastricht University, I want to thank you for taking some time today. Before we say goodbye, I want to let you know that you were nominated by some of our viewers and readers for this series. And that is why I reached out to you to invite you to take part in this series. So I invite our other readers and viewers to send in their nominations as well, to follow in your path, Mariolina, to be a nominated interviewee on this series, 5 questions here at iConnect. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit about you and your work. And we
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.